The 4 points of this: Xi plan to liberate Hormuz. 38% of the oil and 23% of the liquid gas that until a few weeks ago passed through the Strait of Hormuz headed for Chinese ports. Those supplies also accounted for half of the oil received by sea from Beijing and 1/6 of its liquid gas imports. These data would be enough to understand why yesterday President Xi Jinping, after a meeting with Sheikh Khalid bin Zayed, Crown Prince of the Emirates, and another with Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, hastened to propose a 4-point peace plan to achieve a lasting ceasefire between Iran and the United States. Because one thing in this war is clear. On the one hand, the United States risks seeing the gallon of gasoline skyrocket above $5 and Donald Trump losing the midterm elections. On the other hand, the Chinese dragon and its president seriously fear that they will find themselves not only without the energy necessary to satisfy production, but given the crisis in the US and Europe, also without buyers. Here is therefore not only the opportunity, but also the need for Xi to take on the role of great international negotiator, and to transform Beijing, given the clinical death of the United Nations, into a sort of new UN headquarters. The move represents moreover a great jab at Trump. Not even 2.5 months ago, the American president dreamed of replacing the UN with its Board of Peace, presented as the future cornerstone of world order and peace. However, he finds himself not knowing how to end the war on Iran that he himself started. But this also explains why the shrewd and opportunistic Sanchez, for months the standard-bearer of anti-Trump Europe, ran to Beijing praising Xi's global protagonism and at the same time trying to bring home some indispensable trade accounts. Apart from Sanchez, it is necessary to understand what lies behind a peace plan based on 4 points in which it calls for peaceful coexistence, respect for sovereignty, international law, and balanced development. A distillation of clichés apparently even more useless and inconclusive than the 21-hour marathon negotiation that in Islamabad saw US Vice President J.D. Vance and the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. Also because the one most interested in boycotting Xi's plans could be that Trump, who has so far supported the need to counter any Chinese attempt to gain global preeminence. So far, Trump seems to be letting it go. Yesterday, the 23 American ships guarding Hormuz were careful not to stop the rich starry oil tanker that left the strait after filling up with Iranian crude. After all, the Donald is probably aware of how much the Chinese autarch is taking advantage of his mistakes. From this point of view, Saudi Arabia's explicit position in asking its American ally to renounce a naval blockade considered useless and further harmful by all Gulf countries is significant. A position also shared by those Emirates that, despite being Saudi Arabia's great rivals and Washington's best allies, have seen fit to support the peace proposal put on the table by Xi.